Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of 2 Tutorial Tuesday on spring mushrooms. Just a quick reminder, the Unplugged cookie decorating retreat that we are holding in Shenandoah National Park at Skyland Resort is coming up May 10th through 13th. Everyone that was registered and had rooms booked has taken care of their registration, so we're all set. I do have 3 spaces available for people that may want to drive up each day. So if you're local and you'd like to attend, contact me by messenger. We'll get you set up for that. But the rate to get, or the date rather, to get the discounted rate on rooms has expired. So you can, of course, come in and attend the retreat. I have 3 spaces left that I have enough supplies for, but it would be full price on the rooms. All right, so guys, we're going to jump right in tonight and get going. I want to say hi to a few people first. I also want you to take a quick look at this. If you are watching and you'd like to get text alerts, please text the word live stream, all one word, all capital letters, to 540-870-0726. And we would love to get you on our text alert listing before our live streams that occur between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, there you go. How are you? Hello. Let's say hello to a few people. Then we're going to make these beautiful mushrooms tonight. I'm excited to show you how to do this. Okay, let's say hello. Hi, Sally. Hello. Hello, Facebook user. Hi, Allison. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jenny. Hello, Facebook user. Hi, Kathy. Hey, Sally. How are you? Hope all is well. Hey, Camille, how are you? Hi, Jen. Hello, Miss Phyllis. How are you doing? Hello, Miss Barbie. Hi, Rebecca. How are you doing this evening? Kat is here. Well, it's lovely to see all of you. And tonight we're going to be doing a sculpted mushroom versus, let's see, Deborah just jumped on with us too. Hello there. We're going to be doing a sculpted mushroom cookie that you can use. Of course, it's edible, but it's going to be made with fondant, so it's going to be based on it'll be based on like whether people that you're serving like the kind of fondant that you make, really. So it's more for me, these pieces, when I make them, they're more to be the display piece in the center of the tray, something a little splashy to put with all of the regular royal icing cookies. I'm going to go ahead and put some gloves on tonight. So I had said earlier, have whatever edible white paint handy. I'm going to use poppy paint tonight. So I also have my little jar of Everclear to clean my brush in. I'm also going to use a disposable brush just in case I can't get my brush good and clean. Hello, hello. I've got some Super Shine. I want to show you the difference that this will make. I'll do half of the mushroom and let you see it up close on this fabulous new camera. I have just a little bit of white wafer paper bits that I enhanced with some diamond dust. I have a little bit of potting soil, and I have just a little bit, hi Heike, I have just a little bit of edible moss, so we'll be using those. I told you, just if you wanted to, just a super small quantity, whatever would fit in this little coffee stirring spoon. If you had it left over from our previous tutorials, you need a couple of thingamajiggies and or boo-boo sticks. Definitely whatever you use when you are sculpting in fondant, you'll need that tool tonight. My new camera is so much fun. I love it. Watch this. Ah, perfect focus. And you didn't have to see my elbow for me to get there. Isn't that fun? You also need just the slightest little bit of water for when we attach our fondant to our cookie. Just the tiniest bit of water. So the brush, I have just a little bit of water and a cap off to the side here, and then I'll be using this brush. Hey, Nicole. Oh, you like the new camera. I'm so glad. I really like it too. I really like it. And I like that it's wireless. Hey, Cindy. Hope you're feeling better. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Keith. I know, it's so great, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so happy with the new camera. Good investment for both in person and for 2 Tutorial Tuesday. So this will be we'll consider this the most current upgrade, okay? But I really do like it, and I love this. Look, if I ever needed to rotate, all I have to do is click that button. If I needed to zoom in to show you a lot of detail, I just click that button. How fun is that? And again, no arm or elbow in the way while I'm doing it. Isn't that fun? And if I need to add a little more light, I just click it up here. Look at that. If I want to go down, I go down here. I love it. It has a built-in camera. It has a built-in microphone as well. So we'll test that out next week, but I'm still using my regular microphone, my Yeti. So we will see. Well, Jen, let me explain this. Jen is saying she missed seeing my face. You'll see my face again. But hey, Paula, how are you? Wasn't that fun? So you'll see my face again when it doesn't cause me a lot of extra exertion to do my hair, to get my hair up nice so that it looks reasonable in the video. Because right now with my neck and my left shoulder and elbow acting the way they are, it's quite painful to do that. So it only happens when I have to go out in public. So for right now, you just get my voice and the pictures, okay? And if you are interested in this camera, I did post an affiliate link in the group. So if you want to check that out, what I really like about this though, you guys, is that it's a chargeable, so it can be cordless. Excuse me. It's got USB, Wi-Fi, and wireless connectivity. I love that. It's got a button right on the stand part of the camera where I can take photos. I'm still trying to figure that part out. It's got focus and auto lock focus. It's just really nice, and a built-in light, and doesn't take up too much room. So there's a piece I have here that I'm going to be able to get rid of soon, so that I won't need it, especially once I test out the built-in microphone. And if the microphone works as well as I think it will, then you don't think the camera will work in Canada? I'm not sure what that post was. I'm sorry, you guys. I must have missed something in there. Hey, Becky, how are you doing? So I'm just loosening up my fondant a bit. This is just basic fondant. I didn't home make any at this point. If you're going to be at the retreat, we're going to talk a little bit about fondant because we are going to do some sculpting. Hey, Pamela, we are going to do some sculpting. So since we're going to be doing that, we have someone that is going to let us taste a homemade version of fondant so that you guys can see that not all fondant tastes bad, right? Now, I still prefer to do these highly intense cookies for decoration, to add accents. And we haven't done one in Tutorial Tuesday yet, but I did want to do that. Look how great that camera is, you guys. While I'm kneading that fondant, everything is just staying right in focus. Isn't that nice? And I can see it on my little phone. I have my little phone set up to the side. Let's see. All right, so let's do this. I think I want to move this back just a little. I think the overhang is causing a little tiny shadow. Let me just get this a little bit more straight here. All right, I think we're good to go, guys. All right, I'm going to put a couple paper towels underneath my cookie just so that when I go to attach the few things that I'm going to attach, I'll be all set. And I did want to tell you, if you're taking the floral class, there's a recipe in there for you for edible glue. But if you don't want to make it, Little Honey's Cakery edible glue is really good. But there's a recipe in there where you can make it from scratch if you want to. But have a little bit of edible glue too for tonight for when we attach the wafer paper. Okay? All right, so let's get started. I love sculpting on cookies. I realize many of you will be very leery to do this, but it really is not difficult. So you just have to a little practice, okay? So what we're going to do at the bottom is we're going to do the stem of our mushroom, and we're going to do a little skirt here. Then we're going to do a little sculpting for the underbelly here, and then we're going to make a raised and rounded red hood up top, and then a little painting. If you have an airbrush handy, you can do a little bit of airbrushing. I think I'll do a little airbrushing tonight, which I don't normally do, but I think I'd like to show you what a difference it makes in the cookie. So I've just basically started out with a small ball of fondant, and I usually gauge it by how much coverage I'm going to need. So I need a piece to cover about this much, but you have these cutters or the STL files. So it's roughly the size of 2 thumbs is what the ball of fondant is, okay? And I put gloves on because I don't like for my hands to be sticky during the whole video, and I don't have a sink close by for this, so I just didn't want to get sticky. No one's eating this cookie. I just didn't want my hands to get sticky, okay? All right, so let's just begin to roll this until we're getting a teardrop shape, because we want that bottom portion to be wider. Okay, let me hold this down a little lower. So I'm just working with 2 fingers. Okay, and you can turn it. I'm kind of using the hollow of my hand to make it where it's a 3D stump, but we're going to be attaching it to the cookie. Can you see that? How I'm just lengthening it. It's important the fondant be warmed up. I'm just lengthening it, not quite long enough just yet. Just a little bit more, but we need it to be in that teardrop shape because we want a delicate area at the top. Okay, so you can see that. Then I'm just going to turn it right there like that. I'm going to use my pinky because it's bigger than the ball tool on my Dresden tool that we're going to use. And I'm just going to give a little hollowed out area there. You see that? Just did that with my hand. Okay. All right. Now, next step, tiny bit of water. You don't need a lot for this, you guys. Just a little bit of water where we're going to attach the stem. And that's going to be all you need to keep it attached to your cookie. I'm going to be putting this piece of fondant down right there. I'm going to use my pinky in that hollowed out area to just attach it to the cookie. I'm going to use my other fingers to just kind of work this fondant down onto the cookie. I want to keep it rounded and high because remember, this is going to be a display cookie. Okay, hold on. There we go. Can you see? So I'm holding that. It's keeping the rounded in here. Now, if perchance you go a little too far over the cookie, just take your thingamajiggy or boo-boo stick and pull that little bit of extra off. And now what I'm going to do is just widen that hole. Try to turn it sideways so you guys can see. I'm just widening that. The fondant has to be warm. Or if you're using fondant and modeling chocolate, it's going to be even a little bit more pliable. But this is a one-step thing. Once you sit down to do this part, you need to continue with it. But you see what we just created? Okay. Hi, Charlotte. How are you? Hey, Melissa, how are you tonight? All right, now I'm going to continue to just work this, and I'm working from the bottom to the top. Okay, and I don't need to go right to the edge of the cookie because one of the things that's really fun about this design or doing sculpted cookies is having that cookie frame around your sculpted part so that people know it's actually a cookie under there. That's really fun, right? When they walk up to your cookies and they're like, is that how they do that? Is that really a cookie? So I'm just sculpting the stem, and I'll hold it up for you again in a second. It's just really important that I'm using the pressure of my hand and smoothing this. This is for cake people. This is much like using a fondant smoother, except I'm doing it with my hands and keeping my cookie flat. But this is much like how they would work on a cake to smooth the fondant when they're putting fondant on a cake. I don't do fondant cakes. When I first got to town here, most of the people here did not care for them. So it's not something I do. I work mainly in buttercream and then decorations to be added to the cakes, or I add cookies as decorations to the cake. And I find that my little customers just really enjoy that. All right, so I'm just going to continue. And do you see how nice? Now, frankly, this is a little too smooth because it's a mushroom. We don't need it to be that smooth. So I'm going to use my little boo-boo stick, and I'm just going to pull a little bit off on the edge, give myself a straighter frame. And this is a lot. Do you see how I'm making little grooves? Let me zoom in, because we can zoom in and be clear and not wait 15 minutes for a refocus. Isn't this fun? So I'm just taking my little boo-boo stick, And as most mushroom stems have that little extra texture to them, I'm just creating that by using my boo-boo stick, making little notches. I don't have a picture in front of me tonight because I've made many of these mushroom cookies, but if you are new to this, something helpful that you can do is just go to Google, look up some different actual mushroom pictures, find one that you like that you want to model yours after, and have that sitting by your side just in case you get a little stumped in the design area of your cookie, okay? You like it, don't you, Barbie? I thought you're my tech person. I thought you would love it. I'm not going to announce it just yet, but just know also we have something special planned for you in the group. For those of you, well, I'm not even going to tell you yet because we don't have a date set. And as soon as I tell you, then you're going to be like, when? And I don't know when yet because I have one more thing to work out. But we have something special planned for you this month. Actually, a couple of something specials, but one I'm particularly excited about. I think that you guys are really, I think it's something you need if you have a business. Let me see if I'm still on screen there. Something that you need to have a better understanding of how to do it. And even if you don't have a business, I think just this person is going to be able to relay a lot of information to you to make something that seems super complicated less frightening. So I'm excited about that. Okay, so I've made let me go out just a bit. Look at that. Isn't that fun? I just think it's really, let me get that a little brighter. There we go. You like that? Let's go back in, out a little. I mean, I love that. It's like click, click, and you're there. And it's autofocus. If I don't like it how it's focused, I just hit it again. And look at how super sharp. Okay, now, of course, all of that, guys, everything I'm talking about with the sharpness of this new video camera that I'm using, all depends on your internet as to what your internet is converting your files to. All right, so let's get a little crazy with the bottom of our mushroom. And we just want to take our boo-boo stick and we kind of just, while this fondant is still pliable, we just kind of want to make some nicks in the bottom of the mushroom, okay? Now, this mushroom would be perfect by the time we're done with it because it's going to be so 3D. It would be fabulous to have on a cookie, a lollipop or a straw and to mount it upright on a tray full of little royal icing mushrooms. Be really cute. All right, I'm just going to smooth this. Oh, and I wanted to tell you something else. I remembered what it was I forgot to tell you this morning. Now, you see how I have all those beautiful notches in the bottom of my mushroom there? So then what I want to do is I just kind of want to pinch it. I'm just putting 2 fingers together and pinching this little guy. All right, I've got the lines that I want. The underneath is a little rough looking, so that looks good. I've got my nice edging. Now what I want to do is I want to come up top. I'm going to use make sure let me go in as far as I can for you for this part. So I want to follow along this part of my mushroom, and the wider thingamajiggy works great. Hey, Mimi, we're just barely getting started, lady. You are right on time. And I just want to make that nice cut across and pull off that extra fondant. Then I'm just going to use my finger and smooth that down because I want that low profile because we're going to come back and make a really cool little skirt. So we just want that attached, and we haven't even dry dusted or airbrushed yet. Do you guys want me to dry dust so that it's something everybody can do, or would you rather I do the airbrush? What would you guys rather I do tonight? I'll do whatever you want. I can do either. I have them both ready to go. All right, so we're going to make a little skirt for our mushroom. It's going to be cute. Let's see. I need to pull in. This is from Creative Cookier, and it's one of my favorite little pieces to work on. It's a 6x6 mat from Jenny at Creative Cookier. I like this little silicone mat to work on when I'm doing fondant. So I just have a little bit, probably like the tip of my pinky, just to give you an idea, okay? Everybody's saying they want to see the airbrush. So, okay, so we have a couple of airbrush and we have a couple of dry dust. So how about I do both? Do you guys have time to hang out with me? So I'm going to roll this out. That's a little too far. Don't worry. If you're doing this and it's a little too big, then just re-roll it. Okay, get it back to a circle and just a little bit slower. Okay, because what we need is a piece going from here to here, but we're going to pull it down and kind of make a hooded piece. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave that little bit. And Barbie, yes, do both. Okay, so let me pull the thing so that I don't forget that we're going to do both. Let me pull the colors I want to use. I have them right here. But I like to dry dust mushrooms using a brown so that they look a little dirty. That I feel like that looks the best, especially when you're doing the red mushrooms, the red hood mushrooms. The brown I feel like looks really nice, but I have my browns out on another tray. So how about we go with, for a different project, so how about we go with dark chocolate. We'll use dark chocolate tonight by the Sugar Art, okay? And we'll use dogwood. So we have a dark and a light, okay? And then we will use totally brown airbrush from Cookie Countess. Probably need to order some more of that. There's not too much there. And that's going to dull down the cookie a little bit. It'd probably be good if I had my, airbrush gun handy. Good to go. I charged it up earlier and cleaned it and everything just to make sure. But, as always in my 3-foot area, sometimes things wander during the day. All right. So we'll do that. And then let me see if I have, since we are going to airbrush, I think I have some red. Since we're breaking out the airbrush anyway, I have some red. Let me make sure. Yeah. We have red by Color. And I'll use that on the top part of the mushroom. Just don't let me forget, okay? Because the top part, you really just need to hit a little airbrush when you do these sculpted ones. Whereas the bottom, you can do dry dusting and airbrushing. All right, so let's flip our cookie around. And we're really flipping the cookie, okay? Have your little mat because we need it to do a little work over here on this piece before we transfer it. But we need to do, if we were royal icing this, we'd be brush embroidering this right now to create the foamy pieces underneath the mushroom. But we're going to do it tonight with fondant using our Dresden tool, okay? Mimi, you have one of these and you haven't taken it out of the box. Okay, first of all, can I just say, if you do order one of these, don't throw that box out because it's very nice. The box inside holds the camera and protects it perfectly in case you do need to take it to offsite locations, and it has a built-in handle. I was like, oh, keep that box. My camera's going to go in that box when I travel. Okay, so we're going to do this part next. So I need just a little bit more fondant. Now, just roughly, that's the right length, but it's got a little too much volume. So let's heat this up again. Hi, Penny. Glad you could join us tonight. Now, I'm just making a log, okay? I just want it, and I'm using my fingers on the end to get a pointy end. Okay, do you see what I did there? Now I'm going to just see where it fits, right? Nice. I'm going to leave it like this. To attach it, I need just the slightest little bit of water across here. It does not have to be a lot, you guys. And in fact, you really don't want it to be a lot because then your cookie's going to get soupy and your fondant's going to get too sticky. So we want to put this part down and just kind of gently adhere it to the cookie, curving our little pieces here. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it, and I'm turning it this way because I'm right-handed. And I think so that you can see it a little better, I'm going to put it on the pink mat. Does that help? Okay, and then I'm going to be using my Dresden tool. You can get these on Amazon. The PME ones are yellow. I don't remember where I found this pink one. It's really old, but I love it. So if you want one of these, that's the easiest way to get it, is just jump on Amazon and type in Dresden tool, D-R-E-S-D-E-N, and then you can get going with that. Now, I'm just going to start by making small marks. Right? Don't do too much at once. You don't go right to the finished product. You're building up to it. So I'm using this to kind of push my fondant where I want it to be, and also to create the direction. Let's zoom in a little because we can. Let's take a look at that Wait, can we? Yes, we can. There we go. Let's move it up just a smidge. Can you see that? So we have our lines. I'm going to go out one, and that way I'll try to keep everything on in camera frame for you, okay? Now I'm going to go back, and instead of pushing down the way I just did, I just pushed and made these lines. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to rake it. Okay, I'm pulling it to the edge. I don't want to get rid of all those big indentions, but I want to pull in a downward motion because I want it to come to that thin frilly edge. Can you guys see that really good? Listen, I have stalled for so long to do any kind of sculpting cookies because I felt like on my phone, my iPad, or my computer, I just couldn't see this level of detail. But I have to tell you, I'm so psyched about this new camera. So watch, I'm placing it down and I'm pulling down. And because I'm doing this all at the time the fondant is soft, I can really get some great dimension and some great edging along this. And you see this Dresden tool has that sharp edge right there. I mean, not sharp enough to cut you, but it's a sharpened edge, I guess, to give you a lot of ability to make detail. So I've got my deep cuts, and now I'm just making these little frilly areas. And also this is putting pressure on the fondant and really sandwiching it down onto that water. Also, from the side, do you see how I've really gotten it lower at the top and it's a little higher in the center? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe you can see all this detail. This makes me so happy. Look at that. So you can actually see what we're creating. Now, not for nothing, but I've also done an angel this way. So if you're seeing angel, you're seeing angel, and it's okay that you're seeing angel because you can also do a great angel with this technique. You just have to change up your design a little bit, okay? But you can make some beautiful angel ornaments. Maybe now that I have a good camera, I'll be willing to attempt that. It's just so hard to, and do you see how I'm going back and I'm creating a whole nother line of little divots in here to get different dimension? So I'm just pulling and then going a little bit more, a little deeper, creating that little undercurrent with this to get more motion since we're sculpting. This is one of my favorite things to do. But obviously, guys, if you couldn't do 100 of these, this would be a much more expensive cookie. So this is something you would consider a feature cookie that you want to work into what you're working on, right? You want to work it into a set, build it into like a fixed set price for a dozen cookies, or maybe have what I've done sometimes is I have sold the coordinating cookies by the dozen and then a dozen with a feature cookie, which means a display cookie. And then that's usually $5 or $6 higher. And that's why, because these take a lot more time. Isn't that pretty though? Do you guys like that? Are you enjoying this? Because I kind of was worried about doing a fondant sculpted bit for you tonight. Now what we're going to do is create an extra little piece on our mushroom here. So on the mat, I'm just going to give it a quick roll. Okay, then I'm going to flatten it. You don't want to use the pink mat. Oh, it's focusing on the lines. Okay, how about this then? Let's see if you can see this because I feel like you can't see it as well on the paper towel, but I like to work on paper towels for cleanup reasons. So let's see about that. What do you think? Is that any better for you? Or how about this, Barbies? Tell me if you like this. What about the color contrast? Does it do well on here? I'm going to hit the autofocus again and see what it does. You guys tell me. Does that better without the lines? Is it better if you have that nice contrasting background, or would you rather do it on the tabletop piece? You tell me. I'm up for whatever you guys want to do tonight. So I'm going to make the little skirt. You like this better? Okay. Barbie, you're saying stay on the pink mat, right? Just type pink. Hi, Renee. How are you? Now watch, guys. The little sculpting trick. 2 fingers. This is set to the width that I want it to be. Okay. Because I want to create this extra piece to go up here. Okay. There's a glare. Let's see what I can do about the glare. Hold on. Let's see what we can do. See if that helps any. I fear the glare. Let's do this. I feel the glare is from the overhead light though, so I can't do any more than that. Does that help you? Okay. There we go. Now, here's our fondant piece, okay? And I'm going to take my 2 fingers, just like this, okay? And I'm going to set it to the side. I'm going to make a triangle. That's all I'm doing right now. I want to make a little triangle. And I'm doing it on the fondant for obvious reasons. I don't want to squish all that great 3D raised detail that I got on my cookie just now. Okay, so I just want to do this. Okay, and I'll lift it so you can see. You see how that looks? Let's turn it sideways. It's kind of indented like the side of my finger. Can you see that? Oh, I just love that you can see all that detail. Okay, there you go. All righty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our boo-boo stick. And I have a couple of these. I ordered purple ones in specifically for Allison because she's not a pink person and she was on pink overload. So I got some purple ones in for a kit that's coming up. So you guys would have something better than pink. I mean, something other than pink if you're not a pink person. But these yellow ones are from Bees Baked Art. Purple is from Truly Mad Plastic. And there are others out there as well. These are just the ones I have. But I did bend this earlier today, my purple one. So I'm going to switch over to my yellow from Bees Baked Art. All right. And I'm just going to make the tiniest. Now we need to zoom in. So we might have a little glare issue. But we need to zoom in here so you can see this part, okay? Let's move this. I think we're going to be okay, though. Just ignore that part. How about I put my hand there? All right, we're going to just do these tiny feather cuts. All we're doing is just little cuts to make the skirt. And we're going to fully do it on the top and bottom, and then I'm going to cut some off, and you're going to say, well, wait, why did you bother to do the whole thing if you were going to cut part of it off? It's because you really can't get the full level of detail unless you do the whole thing. You just can't. It just doesn't look the same. If you try to do part of it, it doesn't look right. So you have to do the whole thing and then take just a smidge off. Hey, Haley, how are you tonight? So just little cuts like this, okay? And do it on, do you see what I've done? Allison, yay, not pink. I know Allison's not a pink girl. So now I'm just going to do the same thing. Yep, I'm in frame. I'm just doing the same thing here. I don't know the actual name of what this part of a mushroom is called, but you guys can Google it or ask Suri or whoever else you electronically talk to. I have a Dutch artist. I don't want to put a name on here because if I tell you the name, then I might get another ownership strike, which, by the way, I spent another hour today fighting the 30-second countdown video that I used today, even though it's licensed through StreamYard. So I just decided no countdown video tonight because I honestly just don't have an hour of energy in me to do another ownership claim tonight. Okay, so can you see how finely detailed I've done that? Now, this is the part you're going to... Gills! Isn't this part the gills, Jen? This part on the big mushroom, isn't that the gills? This is like the little skirt thing. I don't know what the skirt's called. It's not on every mushroom. Okay, so look at what I've created. We're going to go back out because this is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to be so addicted to this. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Mimi. That's it. So Gil or Lamia, I think is what she's saying. All right. So I wonder if I pull this back, if that'll knock any of that glare out too. Let me check something else. No, it's definitely the overhead light. Okay, so now what I want to do, I'm going to use my boo-boo stick and lift this. It's still very pliable. This is not a piece you can do ahead of time, really. What we're going to do is we're going to lift this part. Just going to gently lift this that we did earlier. We don't need to lift a lot of it, just the very edge. Okay, just a tiny little bit, and I'm just going in there at an angle and lifting. You can see everything I'm doing on camera. Now, I like this part the best, so I'm going to trim this off. I need to see this top ridge, though, and I needed my spacing to look right for when I add it to the cookie. And that's what I'm saying. You're going to be like, oh, did you really need to do that? You did, because you need that nice lifted layer there where it stays thick. And if you don't do it like that, you lose that thickness. Now what we want to do is we want to bring this up under. Now you don't have to do this step. Maybe you like the mushroom exactly like I had it. No worries. Do it that way. All right. We want to bring this back down. We're just going to use our Dresden tool and we're going to drag this a little bit more. So anyway, I have this Dutch artist who I absolutely love. I don't want to say the name because of the ownership. I don't want it to become an ownership issue. Oh, that's so funny. Thank you, Mimi, for Googling this for me. So I want to pull this over the area that I just added. Make sure that's up underneath, then pull this over. The reason you need that ridge is so that if somebody actually flips this cookie, it has that nice lift. Then I want to take my boo-boo stick and I want to come in here at an angle. I want it to be wider. I want it to be wider than the stem of the mushroom. Okay, here, I want it to be wider than that, but I don't want it to be off the cookie. So I'm just going to come in and trim it. And really, it's just to give you a little bit of trying to make sure I stay in camera. I've got to relearn my camera points now. I just want it to give just that little bit of extra detail because when I go to dry dusting and airbrushing, it really makes the cookie pop. Okay, pull this little bit. Trying to turn it so you can see exactly what I'm doing on camera, but I'm just kind of mushing that onto the side of the cookie as well because it's going to help it stay. And you see that I've only had to add just that little bit. I've only added like water twice because my fondant is good and pliable. So now while it's starting to stiffen, what I want to do is I kind of want to lift it. And if your fondant is too soft, I'm going to show you a little trick that you can do. Lift it and then use your boo-boo stick to kind of squish that down on the side. And that should, a couple cut lines in here, that should keep this part raised as long as it started to crust, okay? So let's go ahead and do just a little bit. I'm going to use my finger here and pull this down just a little bit because I want it to stay raised, but I want to make sure it's attached to the cookie. Just right there. And I'm kind of digging in because we're going to go back and add our red. Now, I do have to bring the white paper towel back in frame. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. We're going to do the airbrushing first, then we're going to do the dry dusting. And specifically, I'm doing in that order so that I will already have just the tiniest bit of dampness on my fondant so that I don't need to add any Everclear or anything to the dry dusting to get the look that I want, okay? Hope that makes sense. If you do it in the other order, then you're going to have dry dust. Usually you do dry dusting with powdered colors. So that's going to be on your cookie. Then you're going to introduce water to that, and then it's going to kind of bleed and spread. And that's not really the look I want on a wild mushroom. I mean, not that I'm a mushroom expert either. It's just not a look I like when I make these. All right. Oh, and Barbie, you do like the pink paper, the paper towel is the background. That's not bothering you. Okay. Now remember, guys, I don't teach you a lot of airbrushing stuff because I honestly don't do it that often. And when I do airbrush and I have to do edges and colors and all that sort of stuff, I tend to go outside to do it. If you need to do it in a bakery, get yourself a large 16 by 16 by 16 box, put the box together and cut out the front. Or on Amazon, they sell hooded airbrush tents for like $24. Get you one of those if you're going to be doing a lot of airbrushing in your house. Also, if you don't want to blow rainbow dust from your nose during allergy season, you may want to put a mask on while you're doing this. You think nothing is getting in the air around you, but you're really pulling a lot of this in as you're breathing. And the other tip I want to make sure that you always know to do is always spray some color through to make sure the color you just put in is the color that's coming out, especially tomorrow. Let's say tomorrow I wanted to run pink through my airbrush. I want to make sure that when I put pink through my airbrush, if I was using brown the night before, that the brown is really all gone before I airbrush my cookie, because let's face it, when you go to airbrush your cookie, you're almost done. So you will have just ruined your cookie. Now, ever so lightly from the side, just gently pulling back on the trigger on my airbrush. Gently, I said, and then I proceeded to dump a load on there. I'm just gently putting a little bit. I'm staying back about, I'm trying to do it on camera so you can see it. My preference is to stay back about 6 or 8 inches. And I just want to dirty it up a little. I don't want to make this whole stem brown. I just want to dirty it up a little bit. So you decide, and I'm going to get really close because I want to do this under area. I want to make sure I get a good amount in there. Do you see how that looks? A little bit on this side. Also, I'm dulling down the cookie at the same time I'm doing this. Hopefully you're able to see this. Trying to keep everything on camera for you. And I just want the littlest bit across this part. All right, so there is just, if you just want to airbrush, your airbrushing is set, okay? Let me put a little water into the well of my airbrush gun so that it will be okay until I can go clean it after the live. So that's it. I just put a little water in there. We'll leave that over here where I won't knock it over. All right, now let's grab our dry dust colors. Remember, we're going to use chocolate, an elite color. I'm not taking my gloves off because we still have more fondant work to do. And we're going to use dogwood. And we're going to use a disposable brush. This will clean up really well, but I just happen to have some really soft brushes here, and that's what I want. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of color. I'm going to mash it around a little bit on the side. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit of dogwood, make a little bit over here, right? Because I'm going to work those 2 colors together, and by the time I get done, I'm actually going to have made 3 colors. This has a really nice clay base to it. And this, of course, has the really nice, like, earthy tone to it. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to pick up a little, and I just want to dirty up the rest of the mushroom so that you see this. Do you see all those great veins on this mushroom from the fondant where we stretched it? You see all that? So that's what you're going for. But you won't see any of that unless you take the time to do a little bit of dry dusting. So going in an up and down direction, I'm dirtying it up a little bit. I'm going to turn it this way on the bottom. We're going to get in these crevices. I don't want to do the whole bottom though, you guys. I just want to hit highlight areas, like as if I'd actually been out on a mushroom hunt and picked these myself, right? They just always have that little bit of dirt still attached to them when you pull them. So I'm just dirtying it up a little. I don't need a lot. I don't want to watercolor it. I just want a little bit. Now, recommended tip here. These little coffee spoons are great for holding things in place. If you just want to slide that in, don't touch the underneath part, but just give some support to this part that you wanted raised, or that I wanted raised, I guess, since I'm doing the cookie. But I imagine once you start playing with this, you're going to want to do that too, just because you've gone to all this extra effort. You want that extra detail. And while you have that lifted, just put a little bit up in there as well. And then if you got a little too much airbrush color on here, you can take a little bit of Everclear and try to knock it off, or just change the color a little bit by putting some dry dusting over it. So you see how nice that is? Look at that. What do you think? Do you like how natural that looks? So there's really just, you have to pick one and play because it's just fun, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It can really be very natural. It doesn't have to look like mine even, right? It doesn't have to be like that. You can make it any way that you want it to look. And you see, I'm just having fun with it, okay? Don't get really stressed out over this. Just have a good time with it. I love being able, between the airbrushing and the dry dusting, though, to create these super deep shadows and things. I'm sure your brain's already popping on other places to use this as well. And then when I'm brushing underneath the part that I spent all that time making those cool edges, can you see on camera that I'm brushing from underneath upward? Because I don't want to ruin that cool edging that I just did. And I'm also dry dusting a little bit of the underneath of the cookie. So it's kind of given a little bit of hint of dirt to that as well. So pulling it upright, it's going to give that lift. That way I don't flatten all that cool work that we did. And I think I'm pretty happy with how this looks. All right. Hi, Rhonda. How are you tonight? All right. So let's cover this up. Get these out of the way. All right. Let's put this to the side. I don't need that right now. Let's fold this over just so we don't make a big mess. I like to keep one set of paper towels, usually gets me through a whole video. And now we need to come back and we're going to work with our red, okay? I'm going to pull enough off. I need a pretty big chunk to go all the way across this though. So what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to heat the whole ball up again, okay? Now, if your gloves got too dirty doing what we just did, then go ahead and put a fresh pair on. It's red. It'll probably just incorporate the brown and it won't matter, but just so you get in the habit of checking your gloves and replacing them. And I'm sorry, give me just a second because my left hand is currently numb. So I need to just let it hang down for a second and shake it a little bit and see if I can get it back where it's not numb and or hurting. Then we'll do a little more kneading. Okay, so now what we're going to do, right? We need to get all the way across that, but we want it with thin. We want it to be really thin on the end. So we've got to work it with our fingers to get to those points. So in the palm of my hand, I'm working it back and forth. Now, also, how much you use depends on how much you're okay with having on the cookie. This is a really big chunk. So let me just show you what I normally do so that I don't end up with too much on the cookie on the off chance that somebody would actually eat one of the feature cookies, okay? I get the shape that I want. I make sure that I'm going to have enough when I smooth it, that I have enough, but you see that is significantly deeper than the rest of the cookie. So then I know this is the top. I just take a large pair of scissors and I cut right down the middle. Okay. That's it. I pull that off. So I make sure this is going to be what I want, and that's going to give me a nice raised mushroom. Okay. All right. So let's put with our same brush from earlier that we haven't used on any color. I'm grabbing a little water and put a little water on the cookie. Just be careful if you got crazy with the dry dusting or the airbrushing. You don't need a lot of water, but I want to make sure this heavy piece adheres really well, okay? So I'm going to put this in place. I don't want to get my gloves watery because I don't want watery gloves and then touching all that cool work we just did. You have to be a little careful when you get to this stage. But I do need to work this down onto the cookie, creating that dimensional mushroom. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm just using my finger and I'm pulling it down and rounding it, smoothing it at the same time. I'm going to get the entire top of the mushroom attached. Now, I think what I'm doing right now looks really good if you just want to leave it, this part, but I'm a little too OCD for that. So we're going to trim it so that it's exactly on the edge of the cookie, or we're going to keep working it until it covers the top of the cookie. So for you tonight, I'm going to cover the top of the cookie, but normally I just trim it because I like that cookie outline. But I'll do it the one way first, and then I'll trim it off if that's okay with you, because I just really like how that looks, okay? All right, so if you wanted to, and be careful because your mushroom's going to be fragile, you've got a small area here, so try to keep the weight balancing on your hand, not on this part of the cookie. So you could just keep working it like this and cover the cookie, especially if you're going to be putting it on a cookie stick and putting it on a display like this. This is a cookie that if you can work in the air, you could actually finish both sides. Okay. I'm going to leave that up to you though. I'm not doing both sides tonight. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this off by just actually, let's go ahead and use the thingamajiggy so I can do a bigger area. I'm just going to grab it and pull it off. Okay. And when I'm grabbing it, I'm using that pressure to gently make sure that it's attached fully to the cookie. Okay. And then I'll just take this off, because we're going to do a little bit. Oh, you know what? You guys, in a second, you're going to have to excuse me to go to the back door so I can just blow this airbrush gun out really quick, because I did want to do that red airbrush color. Or how about this? Instead of doing that, how about I just use a disposable brush and show you how to paint this with some airbrush color, and that way you have a whole nother technique in your arsenal. All right, so I'm going to round that around. I think I'm staying in my camera frame. I don't think you guys have missed anything, right? You okay? Let's round this out just the littlest bit. I'm going to smooth it. Let's set it down so I don't break it at this point. It's a really cute little mushroom. I don't like this right here. I want it to end at the same area that my little feathers, my little feathery part is. So I'm going to pull that off. Okay, wait till you guys see the difference of coating this with Super Shine or a Confectioner's Glaze versus not, and you'll be buying some Confectioner's Glaze. Now, hey Jay, is Dee watching too? I got the coolest thing in the mail today. I really appreciate that beautiful handmade birthday card. Love you guys, miss you. I see Jay's on. I don't know if Dee is there too, but that is a gorgeous card. Thank you so much, you guys. I just got it a little bit ago. I was going to message you when I got off my video tonight, but I see you popping on. I hope you stayed with me long enough to hear that. All right, so now we have that beautiful sculpted hood on our mushroom, right? I'm going to leave this. I'm not going to worry about scraping this off because it's actually going to look really good once I put the airbrush color on there. So let's do our airbrush color next, okay? Let's do that. I've got my color here. I'm just going to use what is already coming out of this guy. Look at this. There's so much because the way I opened the lid, I don't open them like that anymore, by the way. I'm going to dab the brush. Let's just do a little painting. I'm just going to go to where I want it to be red, though. Can you see that? And it's just straight airbrush paint, so it's not that thick. It's really thin. You don't need a lot on here to finish this out. And you don't want to use a lot in a dark color like this on the off chance that someone eats this, because that's a lot of color that will transfer to them. All right, now I'm going to be super careful. Do you see I made some areas dark, some areas light? All right, now this part is important. We want to be really careful since we're not airbrushing. We really want to dab this brush carefully, and then we just want to light feather. Do some light feathering at the top with our brush, okay? If that's how you're going to do it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just don't go crazy and make it too dark, or you're going to end up having to paint the whole mushroom hood. I think it's a hood. Is it a hood, Mimi? So just add a little in here. It's just, we just want it on the top part, because where it starts to round, it's not going to have all that great shadowing, right? Where it starts going under. So we just want it up in this part. I don't know if everybody else does this, but then the next thing I do is this, because then I just work it this way with my gloved hand, and it makes perfect markings. Can you guys see the markings? But you got to do it while it's wet. And if it dries out a little too fast on you, just add a little more color and then go back with your gloved hand and work it down so that it's not fully covered, okay? You don't want full lines. You want those cool little areas there, all right? Good. Let's put the lid back on this because it's already leaking everywhere. Hold on. I can now take these gloves off. I think we're pretty safe to take our gloves off. We're done with our fondant work. Okay. Sorry about having to do that on camera. I just don't want to risk getting red dots all over the base of my mushroom stem. All right. And if I don't do that right now, when I touch it later, I'm going to get it all over myself. All right. Let's leave that there. Let's put these little bits here. All right. Now watch. When you're working with paints like this, in your gloved hand, pull your glove over the mess. And that way you can just set it off to the side. And it's not going to get on everything, okay? Hope that helps. All right, now let's get back to work on our cool mushroom. I love this little thing. It's so cute. Now, don't forget, well, I'm going to say don't forget, but it's not a forget issue. It's whether the cap of the mushroom. I thought it was the hood. Okay, I'll go with cap. I like cap. What was I just telling you? Hold on. I'll come back to it. Give me a second. Hold on. I need a second. I have to think about what I was telling you. Oh, remember, if you bought the video where I did the garden cart, then you'll understand the next part of what I'm about to tell you. And what I'm about to say is that if you bought the garden cart, the 3D garden cart video, It's a 3D piece. I show you a way to structure the underbelly really well to hold the weight. And part of that tutorial, I show you actually how to drill a cookie. So if you've gone so far and then you go, ooh, wait, I'd really like to stand this cookie up because it turned out so great. I think it would look really nice. That's fine. You can go back and you can drill it. You just need to let everything get good and hard. That way you have a little more surface here where this is super hard, and drill a little closer up and then put a thin dowel rod in it, a very, very minimal diameter dowel rod. Okay, now this is going to be the fun part. So before I do my white painting, I want to do a little bit of poppy paint super shine on this, okay? So let's make sure we're going to use our disposable brush, okay? And I'm going to show you on one half with the super shine and then the other half not super shined. I'll show it to you on video. Then I'm going to super shine the whole thing. Then we're going to go back and we're going to do our white dots because I want them to be on top and I don't want them to be the same shine as the super shine is. Okay. All right. Hold on just a sec. Let's get that out of the way. And then, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to use this glove to put my super shine on because I don't want to, I forgot to cover a paint palette with press and seal. I just need a little on there, grab it in my brush. And now what I'm going to do is from top to bottom, I'm going to show you on the right hand side first. I'm going to show you a different bottle of this. So if you don't want to use this brand or maybe the shipping's too much, you see I'm going top down. And that's because the super shine is going to loosen up that airbrush color a little. And if it does make lines, I want my lines going in the right direction. So I'm running that darker color top down. I'm going to lift this in just a second to show you the difference of the right half versus the left half. And I'm working my color because it just gives you such nice dimension on your cookie when you're working all these different levels. All right, let's lift it. Look, do you see what I mean? And do you see how shiny this is versus this? How pretty that would be on a display cookie. Now let's flip it around and we're going to work, you know, from the top of the mushroom down, but it's going to be turned the other way because I'm right-handed. So it's a little easier on camera to keep my hand out of the way if I work in a certain direction. Also, don't forget, guys, if you're using one of your good brushes to do the Confectioner's Glaze shine or the super shine from Poppy Paint, make sure that you clean your brush, go directly to Everclear, as high a proof as you can get, or to high proof vodka before you go to water. If you do it in the opposite direction, your brush is going to seize up, okay? All right, now I'm just going to work as close to where the underbelly of the mushroom is up to the edge, okay? All right, now let's take a quick look at that. And now I've got the whole thing super shined. It's just going to take it a second to dry. It's no time at all. Okay, look at that. We got a lot of great detail, huh? Do you guys like that? Do you like projects like this? Or is this like you're just watching for amusement and you'll never make it? Like I really like to do things that you guys will actually attempt. But I understand that sometimes you're okay that if I do weird stuff that you may never use, but you want to see it done. I'm okay with doing those things too. I like doing these special videos. Okay, now here is another brand. As I say that, and yep, here we go. Here is another brand of Confectioner's Glaze. The label doesn't still look like this from this company, but it's CK Products. You can find it on Amazon, and it's 8 ounces versus the 1 fluid ounce. Okay. So if you're going to have to use a whole bunch of it, you might want to get this per ounce. It's a little cheaper. It's going to look very similar. I really love using the Poppy Paint on the Super Shine from Poppy Paint on the Poppy Paint paints. But you guys are free to do whatever you need to do, okay? I'm going to put another glove here. I'm going to shake my white really well. The other thing about Poppy Paints that I've learned over time is just make sure you shake these really well because some of the colors tend to settle to the bottom a little more than others, okay? It's the new bottle of white. Put just a little bit on here. I'm just doing it on this. Normally, you guys, I have a disposable paint palette. I line it with press and seal, and that is what I use. I'm going to flip this around. Now I want you to, okay, I flipped it upside down because I'm right-handed, and this is easier to work going in it this direction. But imagine the mushroom right side up. So you want to start with wherever your focus is, that's bigger dots going to smaller dots. And tonight we're going to combine some of our wafer paper, our edible wafer paper that has some diamond dust. We're going to pull out some big flakes of this and add it. So we have some dimension, but we're also going to paint some dots. So we'll have two things going on. Now I'm just going to use the end of my ball tool. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the white. And wherever I want the biggest dot, because it's wherever you go to the cookie first is going to probably be your biggest dot. You can get smaller after that, but it's a little harder to go small in the beginning. So I'm going to start right here. I'm using my hand. You see how I have my hand up next to the mushroom? This is going to be my biggest dot. And do you see how it makes almost a perfect circle? I still have plenty of paint on here, so I'm just going to come down a little, lightly tap. All right. Oop. Pick up a little bit more. I'm going to blot it if you need to. At any point, if you feel like you have too much paint, just blot it. I just want those nice dots, and I want them to be just a little bit bigger at the top, and then they're going to scale down as we go down. But if you need to work from your hand, just have your hand here. It's a good guide for you. Tip your hand just to keep steady if you need to. All right. And make sure you're just pulling up, just barely pulling up enough that you're getting good little dots when you're hitting the cookie. Okay. Or the fondant. Now these are my bigger bits here, my bigger pieces. And you can see, do you see how you can tell you don't have enough paint? So just go back, pick a little bit more up, and then use your hand to steady. So you can get right back on that same dot so that you can fill it in. Do you see our speckles? Oops, that was a little big. Now we want to start going for the smaller dots and fanning out here. So I'm going to switch to, this is so sophisticated. I know you guys are thinking, wow, look at that expensive tool. I'm going to use the end of my disposable paintbrush, and I'm downsizing my dots. Okay. Picking up paint, got a good load on there, smaller dots. And I'm just going to wipe this off on a paper towel. You know, sometimes you guys, you can have all of the things, but you don't need all of the things. And even if you bought the expensive thing, you're going to come back and use something like this. Now, leave some areas where you've got more red showing than you probably think you want. If you're only painting, then obviously fill it in. But I want to show you how to use this wafer paper so it almost looks like the white fungus. It'll be raised. I want to show you how to attach that with ease. So let's flip this. And don't send me a bunch of bad comments tomorrow, because honestly, I'm probably going to put this on a stick and I'm going to put it right down in the grass in the backyard and photograph it. No one's eating this cookie. No one will be harmed in the production of the cookie. I just want to make a really cool picture with this. Might even go into the flower bed and do it. All right. Now, tiniest little bit, just barely over the edge. Okay. You're laughing. You know, somebody will send me a message. You know it. So don't do it. I have to have a little fun. I'm in a lot of pain still, so I have to have a little fun where I can have it. I don't want to go all the way down to where the white part is. And you see these are just really randomly spaced out, right? Thank you, Barbie. I'm glad you like it. I like doing stuff like this. I just don't do it that much on camera for you guys because I don't, I don't know. I just feel like more of you work in royal icing. I also can do glaze, but I don't work in glaze that much on camera because I feel like Cameo's got a great group for that if you want to work in glaze. Just try not to get off in areas where I just do just a little bit. I really would rather stay in areas where I can teach you everything about that, right? Okay, so see how cool that looks? Isn't that neat looking? Okay, but let's not stop there because why be ordinary? Let's be extraordinary. Okay, so we need a little bit of extra poppy paint. Super shine, I mean, over here. I'm just going to put a little here. Okay. Actually, you know what? I didn't mean to do that. Forgive me. I meant to use some edible glue. I'm going to put some edible glue right here. Okay. Let me put the lid back on there so that little precision tip doesn't dry out because that's what makes that bottle so cool. All right, now I'm going to use a little bit, not a lot. Not a lot. I'm going to get a little bit of my moss out, just a little bit. Make sure you don't get it on your white dots. And I'm going to get an even smaller amount of my potting soil. Ooh, there we go. I'm going to get an even smaller amount of my potting soil out, okay? Because I have these made and I want to use them. So when I photograph all these cookies together, it looks really nice. But I only have this itty bitty bit of potting soil left. So I'm just going to put that there. We'll put a little on this cookie. And then I might have to make some more, but I might not because I think I might have used it in all the cookies that I wanted to use it in. All right. So if you want to buy your wafer paper already made up, this is wafer paper snow from Intricate Edibles mixed with extra wafer paper that I had that I sprayed with diamond dust. And I just mixed it because I wanted some coarse flakes and some small flakes. So you can see the varying sizes there. Let me put this back up. If you don't want to make your own, that's fine. I just save all of my scraps and I like to use wafer paper bits for different projects and classes. So I keep them until I'm ready to do some fun new thing. And then I try to make my own bits and pieces just because it's a little less expensive. Okay, here we go. I'm going to use my little disposable brush again. Okay, now for the wafer paper, I'm going to use the Super Shine, okay? So I'm going to grab some Super Shine and just make some extra little dots, some raised areas. I'm going to use my precision tweezers and I'm going to grab like some medium-sized flakes. Oh, this is like playing that game of Operation. So careful. Oh, dropped it. Then I'm going to come back. Oh, dropped it again. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Here. Oh. I want it on the shiny side. I'm going to come back and I'm going to drop that bit right on top of that Super Shine. And I'm going to mix this in different sizes. Yep, see, it won't stick if you don't put the... You have to do it after you do the dots because you don't want too many dots, right, of the regular kind. But you have to do it afterwards because otherwise, if you do it while your Super Shine is still wet, if you drop anything, it's going to stick where it drops. So then you're just going to be up a creek if you didn't want that big of a piece there. If you try to move something, you're not going to be able to get it back off the cookie. So now I'm trying to grab the right size flakes. But this actually looks like that fungus that grows on top. And that way you have two things going. So it's really a nice look on the cookie. All right, let's a little bit more over here. We don't need a lot of these. It's just to add some more visual interest to what's going to be a feature cookie. Okay. And make sure that you like the size of your flakes. Don't put something on there you don't like. Just stop and make some more. Or just stop. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Make them raised. They don't have to like sink into the fondant. They can be raised. Oh, I like this. I like this mixed up like this. And I like that. Do you see? I got diamond dust on the cookie. You guys were so upset the other day when I didn't use any diamond dust. But I got diamond dust on the cookie for you guys without making the whole cookie diamond dust. I was going to work it in tonight no matter what. We were going to make that happen. A couple of small pieces here. Look, guys, some of the thing about projects like this is that this is a cookie this is a cookie you sit down to do when you want to do something for a while. You want to play and you want to relax. I mean, for me, doing a cookie like this is very relaxing because it's like creative outlet type stuff. This is not a cookie, honestly, because it's not going to look creative if you just sit down and bang a bunch of them out. This is more creative outlet for me. I mean, I guess if you want to knock 100 of these out and you can do them in an hour, you just go for it. But that is not me. I can't knock that many out that quickly. All right, I want to put one more flake over here. Then our flakes are done. Then we're going to do our edible moss because we already have it. If we didn't already have it and we hadn't been using it for 3 weeks already, I would not have taken the time to make edible moss, but we have it, so we're going to use it. Okay, if you're new and you're just watching, every project doesn't take tons and tons of time. This is a more intricate project tonight because we're actually doing fondant sculpting on a cookie. So look, do you see what we get? How we got that other layer. Now we've got those perfect little painted dots, and now we've got that cool textured wafer paper with a little shine, right? Really in contrast, what we did up here, the shine level and finish really in contrast with what we did down here. So really pretty looking, I think pretty looking. All right, let's grab a little bit of that edible glue and let's put a little, let's do it down here. Let's just a little bit of edible glue and a little bit of the super shine. Do you see how it's pulling that color off? That's fine because I'm going to take it carefully. Normally I'd let this whole thing dry and then go back, but this is my wet area and I'm going to just push it into that little pile. I don't want to risk dumping it onto the cookie. Okay, I don't want to risk doing that. So I'm just kind of smushing it on so that it's collecting it. And now I'm going to come just a little bit above it using just a little bit more edible glue and super shine. I'm going to come right here just a little bit. And I'm going to have to use my fingers for this because I didn't have this much left, but I'm going to grab just a little bit of the potting soil and try to control where I'm placing it. I can't do it with the spoon, you guys, even though that spoon is small. I'm not good at placing the little remnant pieces with the spoon. There we go. Let's use our boo-boo stick. And we kind of just want these two areas to meet. Yep, that looks good to me right there. So just again, another little tiny artistic detail. And then I want to go in here and add a little bit of the potting soil if I have enough left. And then she will be done. Mimi, since you looked up all the stuff on mushrooms, are mushrooms male and female? I just called her a she, but I don't know if that's a thing. All right, let's put a little bit of moss down here since we have some more of it. And let's put a little here, potting soil. You guys see what I'm doing? I'm just sprinkling it because I don't want a big pile of it. I just want it to look like it has that hint of we just went mushroom hunting and pulled these. Okay, do you guys like that? So that is our mushroom cookie for tonight. Let me spin it so you guys can see all the detail we got tonight. Isn't that fun? Good. Look at all that detail. Okay. And you've definitely got a cookie frame. Right? And look at all this fun detail here that we went back. I think it's so worth the time. And if I drill it, I'll put a cake dowel rod right here and put it upright. Now, for fun, you guys, I don't know if you ever do this, but if you get into where you like to do these cookies and you want to put them upright and you want to put them on one of the, like a styrofoam block, like a floral block, and then cover that with some press and seal, then put this in it, and then cover it with something that's food safe and stack your other cookies up kind of angled so they're leaning. One of the things I like to do if I know the customer is going to keep the cookie is I write them a cool message on the back of this cookie. So normally when I do that, I do it first and I use my thingamajiggy and I just create a surface on the back. Or I use a palette knife. That works really well too. And I scrape a layer of icing, because you can notice on this one, I left my baking mat imprints from my Chua mats. I leave that on the back on a cookie like this because I wanted this framed part. So I just make a nice smooth area, and then I write them a little happy birthday message or a made especially for, and the person's name or birthday or whatever it is, in case they end up keeping it and sealing it. Okay. Sealing as in preserving. All right. And then we've just got that little bit here. I think I'm going to add a little bit more red there before I photograph tomorrow. But anyway, that is our spring mushroom done in fondant sculpting tonight. Now, I do have other videos up. I don't remember exactly when I did them, but they're on YouTube with a photo. So I have royal icing mushrooms up too, if you guys want to do a little more research and pull that. But fun cookie, lots of different techniques tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Before we go, does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Mimi. Okay, wait. So Mimi, this is funny. All right, so message me. Yeah, don't type it in there, but message me. Hey, thank you, Heike. Thank you, Jenny. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you guys like this. I'm really glad you like it. I'm not sure who that is, but thank you. I'm just making sure that I did not miss any. I don't know who this is. I'm sorry. Oh, you're welcome, Barbie. It was so good to spend time with you guys tonight. Let's see. I don't see any questions. I've got a little bit of delay on my phone, so I'm trying to give you at least 30 seconds to type in any questions if anybody has questions. But if I end the video and you guys need something, you can always message me. But I'm going to go and do my neck traction now because I'm being a good patient. So I'm going to do that before I go to bed tonight. So I will be seeing you guys. And tomorrow night, I hope to do a bonus video for you. One of the bonus videos, not one of the prep for class videos, tomorrow night in the florals class. So if you bought that class today, you've already been sent an email link. Check your regular email, check your spam folder. And if you still can't find it after you've actually done those steps, then message me. But everybody that purchased the class has been sent the link. So it'd be great because there are at least 2 nights where you have to do pre-prep work, creating fondant pieces, dry dusting your wafer paper bits and pieces, and also doing all of the flooding for the cookies in order to be ready for class on Saturday. So it'd be great if you'd go ahead and find that info and make your way to the group. And if you want to get in on the class, you still can. If you cookie with me often and do Tutorial Tuesday, you already have most of the things to do the class, or let me rephrase that. You have items that you can use as substitutes. So we can figure that out really quickly if you want to try to get in on the class. If not, the class is jam-packed with information that you can use later. If you can't join us in the Facebook live stream on Saturday, no problem. You have access to the group for as long as Facebook exists. I don't archive any of the groups until 1 year from the class date. And when I archive them, all that does is that you lose your ability to post photos or make comments. The group is still there. None of the groups get deleted. None of the class groups. It's just that you lose the ability to post your photos. Also, quick update. We had 2 contests going that were running through. They ran through Easter, which was April 17th, 2 days ago. One of them was the Gumball machine decorating contest, and one of them is the Timbo bar contest. So on the Gumball machine, we'll be announcing the winner this weekend, and the winner of that got admission to a free pirate class, not the box, just the class, free pirate class with me in the month of May, and they got a free set of custom cutters from Bambi at Lolly Bees. And then the chocolate bar contest, you're going to get a free pirate class with me. And the winner of that gets a free pirate class with me at the end of May. And then you get a free class with Timbo, but I don't know which class he's doing yet. Okay. So we'll get all of that info to you for the weekend. I appreciate everybody participating. It's so much fun to see all your beautiful creations. and I will catch up with you tomorrow night. All right, you guys have a good one. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.